why don't we go ahead and get started here? So I'll go ahead and call the Halifax Finance Committee meeting to order. It is 6:02 p.m. Today is Monday, April 1st, 2024. In attendance from the Finance Committee is Frank Johnston, E.J. Bryant, Michael Bennett, Bill Smith, Jim Walters, and myself, Todd Dargy. This meeting is being conducted remotely and recorded by Area 58. First order of business on the agenda was the acceptance of the Finance Committee meetings from our last meeting, which was March 18th. Those are actually still in the works, so those should be disseminated, will be disseminated this week, and we'll look to vote those on Monday, April 8th in our next scheduled meeting. Moving on, then on the agenda was the Finance Committee review and open discussion on budget status. So just kind of threw this out there as a placeholder just to enable us to have some discussion around the budgets. Obviously, as everyone knows, it's a very fluid situation. The school committee is meeting tonight. I think actually right at this very moment, and Cody is there in person. So hopefully we'll get some feedback from him post the session on how that went. The next steps from there is a meeting is scheduled for tomorrow at 1:30 to 2:30. I know, Jim, you'll be attending that as well. I'm going to try to dial in remotely. I'll be in the office tomorrow, but I'm going to try to join remotely there. And then, so hopefully we'll get some further updates in that session. And then the actual budget presentation, I guess I should say, will occur on Wednesday, April 3rd. And so they're starting off with Plimpton's presentation. So that will happen at 5:30. And they're, expecting it to go to 7, and then they'll be, or 6:30, I guess, and they'll be on site at the town hall in Halifax for 7 p.m. on Wednesday, the 3rd. So that's kind of like where we are, with the overall planning, I guess, or once we see their presentation, obviously on the joint session with the Board of Selectmen on Wednesday, I expect there to be some in-depth discussions, and we'll have to figure out from there what our, final recommendations are. I think, everybody's hopefully comfortable with where we are with our numbers to date, knowing that we're missing, over 50% of the budget itself. But if anybody has any questions, thoughts, concerns, or anything you want to bring up,
I did want to point something out. If you look at the OneDrive, we've made some changes. I made them today. We've been dealing with the postage meter, different departments putting money into the postage meter, and then, using other people's money and people forgetting to put money in. So I had made the suggestion a few years back, so I brought it up to Cody again, is taking the postage out of each person's budget, each department's budget, and creating a postage account. So we're going to put it in office machines. So you'll see that office machines jumped up 23,500, but all of that money that went in there came from other budgets. So I reduced the assessors, the treasurers, the collector's expense, the town clerk's expense, the election registration, Council on Aging, Board of Health, Zoning, Planning, and Conservation. Those are all people who use the postage meter and have postage budget in their accounts, and the building inspector. So I've highlighted all of the ones that I took money out of in yellow.
Okay.
And then in orange, the office machines budget, I highlighted in orange so that you could see where the changes were made.
And that was a direct offset, Sandy, dollar-wise?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Direct offset. So that next year they'll feed the postage meter from the office machines account, and all the departments that use it all the time will be able to continue to use it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that makes perfect sense. Anyone have any thoughts or comments on that? Everybody comfortable with that change? I think it makes sense.
So all the budget sheets have been changed to reflect the movement?
Well, I just changed it on the line.
Okay.
I didn't change the budget sheets, but I went to the budget sheets to get the amounts.
Okay.
The only ones that, like zoning and planning and conservation, they didn't have theirs broken out. So I took, I think it was 200 from zoning, 200 from planning, 300 from conservation because they do a lot of mailings, 200 from building, 200 from Board of Health. Yeah, so like the assessors, I took 770, the treasurer, 1,900, the collector, 11,000, town clerk, 1,000, and election and registration, 8,000. So it should straighten things out. We've spent, I can't tell you, spend hours trying to figure out which department's not paying. It's just, the machine itself doesn't allow you to, like, each department to have to put money in order to use it. So when they're running theirs through, they're using someone else's money. It's just like one bank. So this way, we won't have to worry about that anymore.
Okay.
I figure it's like the telephone, right? I mean, it should be one big account.
I would imagine, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that, Sandy.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea.
So
So I
what's
guess
the total dollar amount you moved, Sandy?
23,500.
23,500?
Yep.
Thank you.
okay. All right. So that's really where we are with the status, I guess. The next item on the agenda was just the open discussion on budget cuts and the actual revenue figures.
Yeah.
from the
So
last-
I'd like to kind of kick that off a little bit, Todd, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
So probably one of the bigger concerns that I have, and I've talked to, I believe, Cody about it, and Sandy and I had a quick chat about it last week, is the one thing that concerns me so far as the schools go is they really have no substantive documentation of their due diligence for the higher dollar items that they have. So as an example, the special education transportation, which is like $1.7 million for the next fiscal year. There's no, I don't think it went out to bid. There's no, like, here's the 3 prices we got, and this one's the lowest, so this is the one we're going with. There's no, it just doesn't feel like, or I don't feel like there's enough due diligence on their side when it comes to those types of line items to warrant, just an automatic approval, my opinion. So that's probably one of my concerns, and I'm going to ask again when we go to the meeting tomorrow to see if they have any of this stuff, and when they come to present the budget to the town, they should be able to present that and say, here's what we did. I mean, that's just how a budget should be run.
No, yeah, I totally agree, and I think you're exactly right. And as you know, you and I worked extensively in trying to dive into the details of the special
Last year. Yeah, last year we
transportation,
tried.
and we
It's
really
nuts.
ran into a roadblock with them, giving us the data that we needed to, which the vast majority of the cost, surprisingly, was local. It was all Kingston, because when I first started off the analysis, I expected it to be like, the transportation to Randolph and other communities that are pretty farther out, but the vast majority of the cost was just, it was local. So there definitely seemed to be an opportunity there to save some money somehow. It's still a challenging scenario, but there are opportunities there. And Jim and I ran into a roadblock with just getting the details from them to be able to progress further and have some real discussion. So I think it's definitely worth bringing it back up. There has been some change there with folks involved. I haven't been able to attend any of the sessions, unfortunately, just due to my work hours and such. But I have been watching the videos, and the last video I watched that was posted. They had trouble, I think, just understanding some of their numbers as well, which was, of concern being so late in the game. So hopefully a lot of that's been sorted out, for tonight's meeting. And then, they'll be able to give us some clarity in our session on Wednesday. But I think, Jim, you're exactly right. We really need that from them to understand what's driving the numbers and what due diligence they've done to reduce costs where possible and things of that nature. So. I don't know. Does anybody else have any thoughts there, I guess, at all?
Well, I know in the past, one of the drivers has been, the issue has been vendors. The number of vendors that want to.
It is, yeah. That's one of the challenges, yeah.
And that's a little tough when you get that. And the number of kids is fluctuating a little bit. That goes up and down. But back a few years, I remember, vendor was a big issue. And then, of course, as it's harder and harder to get vendors, the prices go up and up and up, no matter how far you're driving these kids, whether it's a mile or 100 miles. The prices just go crazy. And that was one of the big problems that they had is going out to bid. Getting somebody to bid, though, was their biggest issue. And those that did come back were offering crazy prices.
Yeah, but see, we don't know that, Mike, because they don't provide the information.
Well, we don't know that this year. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm sure that's probably still part of what's going on. But
No, yeah.
yes, they're not telling us. I know that's just some of the background issues that go on from past years.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was pretty bad a couple years ago, which kind of kicked off the analysis and,
Right.
all the work that we try to do there, because the bills were, I think if it was back in fiscal year 23, I want to say, where the bills just were like getting larger and larger. And, we had to keep doing transfers and stuff to fund it, which was a big problem. So,
Right.
but anyways, yeah, there's a lot of challenges around it, and Michael is exactly right. There's only so many vendors that can be utilized, but I do think there's probably some opportunities to revisit that. And I don't know how long ago they've actually had those discussions, so it may be just due for another cycle. And at the end of the day, maybe there isn't a lot you can do, but again, I think there's opportunities to at least make sure we're doing the best we can to keep.
No, I agree,
costs down
Todd.
collectively.
I absolutely agree. I think
Yeah.
that I think is what I would believe is part of the challenge with costs getting so exorbitant. It would, just from a business perspective, benefit the town and the schools to relook at these contracts that they're working with and go back and renegotiate them if they have the opportunity to do that, or go somewhere else and to get a lower cost, whatever that takes. I guess I'm a little surprised that it just seems to be a little bit of inaction on their part, in my opinion. Again, just my opinion. That this is the money they need, and they just kind of shrug their shoulders and hand you a bill. Like, I don't know what to do with this, but here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a challenge, and part of the challenge is too being a regional. Only if 2 out of 3 approve, right, then it is what it is, and kind of gets shoved down our throats. And that's kind of the way it's been the last few years that I've been a part of this. The budgets have always come in at the last minute, and it's always been a big pill to swallow. But this year is on a whole nother level for various reasons, and some of those we'll walk through on Wednesday as well. Cheryl, I see you joined as well, so I just wanted to make sure I introduced you as part of the Finance Committee. So Cheryl Zerla-Burke has joined as well. And actually, I see your hand up, Cheryl. Did you have a...
No, I was going to agree with Jim as far as, then contracts, revisit some of those contracts. Don't they have to use the same budget, the same things that the other towns do in order to get contracts? Don't you send out bids to various companies? Do they do that? Do we know that?
I just to speak in the school's defense, I believe that they do that. I think that we just don't see that end of it. So it doesn't hurt to ask them and just say, we're curious. Did you go out to bid this year? How many responses did you get? Are you seeing any increase in vendors? It's good to get the information, but I wouldn't just assume that they don't do the work, because I believe
I don't assume they don't, but we don't know that because they don't share that.
Right. And part of the issue is that the budget always comes in so late.
Yeah.
You don't have enough questions.
Which is another point I think we need to bring up as part of the session on Wednesday is, as long as I've been a part of this, it's been a problem every year. And every year they tell us it's going to be a better process or whatever. And it's never been that, right? And this year is by far the worst that I've seen. So I think there needs to be better planning. So I think that's something we should bring up and ask them on Wednesday.
They know
as well.
whether they do or not. It's a yes or no question.
Yeah.
Right.
No, but I just mean in the overall planning itself, right? Because everyone knew that back in December, right, there was going to be a problem here. But then here we are in April and we haven't even still seen the budget yet, right?
Right.
It's 4 months ago, or 4 to 5 months, right, that have passed. So I think there's we need to have some discussions around that because we can't keep doing this every year, right? Like the town can't operate this way. It just needs to be a better process. And I don't know, that involves us getting more involved earlier in the year, or if they need to hire more resources on their end, or whatever that solution is. But something needs to be addressed here because just doesn't work in the way that it's operating. So, but anyways, yeah. So unfortunately, there's only so much we can really cover with the budget, given that the school makes up the lion's share of our budget. So I think we've done what we can on our side, at least for now. I'm just going to share my screen with you as well. Let me know if you can see that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Todd, could I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, EJ.
The number, if I remember correctly, the last time we spoke, reductions on their side was about 600,000 we were looking for. Is that still correct?
I think so, yeah.
So it hasn't shifted at all since we last spoke?
No, based on the last email that Cody sent off with the summary, that's the last that I think has been submitted. They've been working kind of behind the scenes, so I would imagine, and hopefully, so there will be an update tonight in the session. So hopefully Cody will have a sense of some of the figures, but yeah, we haven't seen anything further from there, so we were pretty far off still.
Okay.
And I know that Plimpton, isn't able to afford what they're have produced so far either. So, so I think we're in the same boat with them. Hopefully the numbers, has moved and kind of at least come closer. Like I don't expect them to come all the way to where we're saying, what we're, telling them to. So we may have to work to try to meet in the middle a bit, but, but again, I haven't seen any updated numbers or anything. And I still don't even understand all the numbers. And it doesn't sound like, again, based on the last, meeting that I saw posted, they didn't know all the details behind all the numbers either, which I think was a concern. So
yeah. Okay. Thanks, Todd.
Yep, sure. So on the screen here, so this is in relation to the 5-year revenue figures, which this is actually beyond 5 years here. This is Cody. So I had asked Cody to kind of put this together just so we could have a sense of kind of the growth over the years. I'm just going to start here in this last time first, actually. So this is the new growth estimate for the town. And as you can see, it's, really been in the 140 range or so, 150 in the past years. It's down over 40% for this year, so 82,000. So that's significantly down year over year. If you look at the state aid comparison, it looks like, we're only up 1% this year in state aid from year over year. So again, hurting us a bit there. And then if you look at our revenue growth, it's been relatively flat. We're up like almost, I think it's like 2.9% or year over year change there, but 2.618 is what we're expecting from the local receipts. So the largest driver, so it's up like 200,000, I guess. 3/4 of that 200,000 is made up of excise, right? So excise is about 100,000, and then the other large increase actually was the cannabis. So we're expecting so for fiscal 24, we're expecting 100,000 flat, basically 105. And up almost 50,000 for fiscal year 25. So that makes up, like I said, 3/4 of the growth just between those two items. So
yeah.
So how are we anticipating the increase? If we've been trending down for the last 2 years, why do we think it's going to go up next year?
What are you referring to, Jim? What's
your estimate, your FY25 estimate? You're estimating the excise tax to go up when it's been going down.
So this isn't my estimate. This is Cody's estimate. So
if you look at it, Jim, it has been going down, but we've consistently estimated less than what it is. So if you look at the FY23, we had $1.2 million in actual receipts. We estimated for FY24 $1,050,000, and then he's just bringing it up a little closer to the $1.2 million.
So it's
It
just
does-
conservatively.
It does go up and down, as you can see in the history. It goes,
Yeah.
we have a bad year and a good year, and then later on. But he's not bringing it up to what were the actual in FY23.
So
Okay.
are we conservative, I guess, in our projections here, Cindy? You're saying for fiscal year
We
24?
have consistently been conservative.
Okay.
But we're still trending down, right? 1.286, 1.256,
It does, yeah, it is trending down, yeah.
1.214.
Yeah,
So it's trailing off.
right.
Right.
But if you think of it as cyclical, we had a 3% drop in 17 and a 7% increase in 18. So if we had a couple of bad years, people are going out, hey, I just bought a new car. I'm going to help that one out.
Thank you,
But-
Sandy.
People do.
Doing your part.
But it does tend to be a little cyclical as far as that. But then again, a lot depends on the economy. So.
No, I do.
All right.
Oh, no. Oh, shoot. I just turned myself off. Good night.
All right. So, there isn't really a lot to talk about here, I guess, unless anybody has any other questions or anything. But this is just really was more for an FYI, I guess, just to get a idea behind the landscape. So, we're only up less than 3%. So to take on anything more than that is just really eats into our overall budget, right? I think, the school has hovered around like 52% of our overall budget. What they proposed would make it 56% of our budget. And then there's the fixed cost, right? So, which is about 13% of the overall budget. So, what Cody's been kind of going back to them on and we've been proposing is that the 3% increase, right, would make up. If we settle on that, then between the school and the fixed costs, that will eat up 65% of our overall budget. If we approved what they had submitted, what the fixed cost would be, over 70% of our budget would be made up of just those two items, right? So at the end of the day, we're only operating off with like 30% of the town's revenue to run the town, right? So it's a big challenge that we have not only for this year, but future years as well. So,
Todd, why such a big jump in the pilot program for 25?
What line is that on, Frank?
14.
Yes. So this is so there's more to be discussed here, Frank. Good question though. Basically the contract's still
That's
being
a
discussed.
solar field.
Yeah, it's for the solar fields.
So I understand that, but why the big jump? What took place for that big jump to come up in 25 when it's been in $2,500 the last several years?
Right. So we're signing a new pilot for a solar field. In the last couple of years, we did have a solar field that had a pilot, but it was, it's the way the Department of Revenue is letting us claim it. So before we had to put that pilot towards real estate tax. Now they're saying, no, put it in the payment in lieu of taxes. So it's basically, this new pilot will go in as a payment in lieu of taxes.
And this is our second pilot, correct?
Yes.
So why is the first pilot so low?
Well, this pilot that you see here is not a solar field. That pilot is the housing authority pays us a pilot. And that's what that is. The other solar field, the way and DOR keeps changing the rules on us. So the way that was figured in, it was figured in as real estate tax.
The solar fields were.
Yes.
And are they still figured that way?
The previous one, yes, but this one will be, the new one will go under this. As far as that's what I got from what Cody was explaining it to me.
And what percent of that 45,000 is the solar versus the housing?
The housing is still around 2,500. It is every year. It's been going down slightly each year.
So 43,000, 42,000 is the pilot program
Yep,
for solar.
right.
So the money from pilot number one will say, where is that money currently going now?
Yeah.
All right, so my understanding is that money is in our real estate tax. It's been getting received as real estate tax instead of pilot. And that was the previous principal assessor had us doing it that way per DOR's requirements. And Cody came to me this year and said that we're supposed to be putting it under the pilot.
Yeah.
So
payment in lieu in taxes, right? But that's still under negotiation, right, Sandy, at this very moment?
Well, yeah, Cody will be able to fill you in more on that, but I believe it's very close to being finished. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and there's an article that covers this, Frank. So, we won't discuss it tonight because there's some of the contracts being finalized, and Cody will have further insight. So, my point is, I guess, is some of these questions we can ask once we go through that, that review with Cody on the details. So,
thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions or comments or anything on the revenue sheet?
I did give you a new comparison. It's in the OneDrive under the Finance Committee, under the FY25 budget, comparing it to last year's as of the end of February. So you can have that to look at later.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you, Sandy. All right. So, sorry, I'm just trying to find the attachments here. All right. So next up on the agenda was the Finance Committee review and vote on the fiscal 25 capital year plan. So, so here's the summary of the sheet here. So, and I can share the 5-year projections with you as well. We can talk through that before we take a vote or anything. But just want to start with our recommendation, I guess, that we had from Capital Planning Committee. So, starting at the bottom here is the water retained earnings, the 500. So these are the funding sources at the bottom. Unfortunately, this year is going to be a very, again, just with the state aid with the 1% and the the bleak framework kind of set the stage with to begin with. Also, it's a very bad year for free cash, right? So it's usually we've been around $1 million or 1.2 million, in that ballpark. This year is about half of that, so 600,000 that we're expecting in free cash. The other funding source here is the water retained earnings. So I want to start with this one and kind of work bottom up. So the water retained earnings is 525,000. So that's going to fund these two bottom items here, which was our recommendation. So the water treatment plant upgrades. So that's 500,000, again, being funded out of their water retained earnings. And then the other item was the mini excavator that we talked about before. That the highway department, we approved them to buy the new equipment, and then they're selling the old one to the water department. So this has come to fruition through the capital plan here. So, so that was the two items for the water department for this year. Again, being funded directly out of their retained earnings. I guess I'll pause there for a moment. Any questions on that? Go ahead, Frank.
That 25,000, I believe we discussed this before, from the water department will go over to the general fund?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And everybody's agreed upon that that's what that machine's worth to the water department from the highway department?
They have, yeah. Yep. All right, so that was that one. So then the rest of it's the free cash, right? So just our normal process, if you will. Just continue up from the bottom upward. So the first one is the road maintenance, 300,000. So this is something that we do every year, the 300,000 to continue to service the roads. The next item for police was the 2 vehicles, 120,000. We did try to take a hard look at this and see if there was an opportunity to kind of scale this back to do, say, maybe do 2 police cruises like every other year, which is technically like 1.5 per year, or maybe scaling it back just to do the 1. But in further discussion and like looking at that, it just doesn't really make sense. The maintenance cost is just going to go up, which would have to increase the budget. So it just doesn't really have the any valuable effect. And even saving the $60,000, right? Let's say, I mean, it's not going to get us very far, right? At the end of the day. So I think it's in the town's best interest just to continue to fund the 2 vehicles as we have in the past. Seems to work very well as a program. So the recommendation is to continue that. The next item on
so Todd, before you move on,
yeah.
So the cost of the vehicles has gone up $10,000 over what it was last year and the year before.
Yeah.
Yep.
Easily. Yep.
So what proportion of the vehicle maintenance is the police budget? How much are they spending on vehicle maintenance? And how many miles are on the vehicles now, if anybody knows?
Chief, would you have the answer to that? Or?
Yeah, the maintenance line is 13,000. Has been 13,000 for a number of years. We've been again good with it because of the plan that we have with the cruisers. The cruisers that we're trading in, or would be either trading in or putting it out for auction. One has 75,000 miles. The other 3 cruisers that are online, one this year, another one this year, then the 2 the following year will currently have 60,000 miles. So by the time we're ready for next year, they'll be close to 80, 90, which is kind of already playing, close to having some issues.
So it's
I agree with the chief
100%. I'm sorry, that was 15,000.
13,000 is the line on the maintenance line.
Yeah.
It's not just the miles. You got to consider the engine idling hours, which is a huge.
I understand. It's 1 car for 3 officers.
Yeah.
So I get that. And however many people we have, and how many shifts they're running.
Yeah.
And
one guy gets out, another guy gets in.
Right, and the situation too is that we've just been informed by Ford that they're gonna discontinue the hybrid model in 25. So this will be the last year that we can get the hybrid models. So that's going to be something else that we're going to have to, because they're supposedly changing the type of the vehicle. So which they do that every once in a while, and it's just basically a moneymaker because this way we can't take the cages, we can't take the gun racks, we can't take all the other equipment from one car to the other because if the dimensions are off, you got to buy all brand new stuff. So so that's going to be another issue that we're going to have for the next fiscal year.
We're not doing vests this year, Chief?
You bulletproof vests?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Well, I wasn't sure if you meant what type of vest. Yeah, so the vests are through a grant. We apply for that grant every year, and that's basically a reimbursement. We do the half, and then the federal government does the other half.
Yeah.
So we will be applying for the same $5,000 that we've had for the last probably a dozen years.
Okay. Because it's not. Is it in here, Todd?
No, it's not. It's not a funding request for this year. He has the chief has the money that he needs for the vest for this year for now.
Right.
And through the grant, should be all set. Next year might be a different story, but for this year, we're good.
Okay.
All right. So then the next, any other questions, I guess, on the police vehicles before we move off of that?
Thank you, sir.
Everybody else good? Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief, as well for chiming in there. The next item is the maintenance for the fire department. So unfortunately, there's an issue in one of the restrooms in the firehouse. So there's some mold that's been discovered there, and Scott's done some work to kind of peel back, the paneling and such to kind of take a look at it. And so they're confident that The 100,000 will take care of the full remediation of the issue. There's an underlying root cause issue with the property as well. I think just based on it's kind of built on land that has standing water, I guess. So, which I think is what's really has caused the issue and just gotten worse over time. So, so this is was our number one priority to take care of because it's it is an issue and we need to rectify it as soon as possible. So that's the intent with that item there. So
did that go out to bid?
I don't know, Sandy. Do you know?
Any job that side would definitely go out to bid. I don't know whether he's done the process or just gotten some estimates for now to get that number. I'm not sure.
So that was going to be my question too. I mean, do we have an estimate in hand
Right.
on that? And also, have they done?
They definitely do. Yes. So to answer the first question, yeah, they definitely have the estimate in hand. I don't know what the bid process was, so I can't speak to that specifically. But they do have the estimates. Folks came out and took a look at it and gave an estimate, and so which is where they came up with this number, the 100,000, like I said. So they're very confident that that will take care of the issue in its entirety.
So did they? I guess, Todd, my only other question on it would be: did they do a full assessment of the entire house, or did they just look at the area that they knew that was contaminated?
Mm-hmm. I believe a full assessment, but again, I think that's something we need Cody. You could have Cody opine on.
Todd, regarding the mold, have we gone to our insurance carrier for a form of reimbursement on this versus using free cash?
Good question.
That I don't know, Frank. That is a good question.
We may be able to file a claim on this.
Mm-hmm. I believe that this has been going on for some time, and I think that they may have already exhausted that option, but definitely something that Cody would probably be able to answer.
And I agree with Ed and Jim that we definitely need at least two bids back on this from mold contractors.
Right.
Because it can get out of hand real quick.
Yeah.
When you're doing a mold remediation project.
Mm-hmm.
And we just need to make sure we've got a good handle on what's going on with this thing.
Sure.
But if we can get a look at our insurance or have Cody do that, however that works, to see if we can file a claim against it, I think we should look at that opportunity to do that. Especially if we go beyond these numbers.
Okay. All right, and then the last item was also for the fire department, which was the structural gear. So basically, there's a pretty significant issue with a lot of the gear being outdated, and they need a drastic overhaul of their equipment. They have mismatch like pants and jackets in some cases, things of that nature. So the idea is the original request was to fund all the staff, and I think so. Right now, the chief has 11 full-time employees and 17 part-time, so 28 in total. And so what he's looking to do is get 2 sets for all employees. So basically it would be 56 sets, 28 times 2. And that's so if they go out onto a call, come back, they can throw their stuff in the washer and dryer and, put on a fresh set. So that's really the long-term goal. It's $6,200 per suit. So it's pretty expensive. So it's not something we can do all at once, unfortunately. So really the plan here is to the 74,400 will allow them to do 12 suits in total, and then there's an additional 2 suits being funded by the public safety earmark. So that'll get them the 14 sets, which will be half of their staffing. So it'll take care of all the full-time employees, which is 11, and then 3 additional sets beyond that, which can start to go to the part-time. And then I think the goal would be to, certainly prioritize this for next year as well, to maybe get them the other half of their sets. And then probably continue that, on a periodic basis too. So there's a general turnover in older gear, and keep the equipment fresh is the idea there. So,
Todd, why do they say they need two sets per person?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem right.
He's looking for 2 sets, like I said, so that way when they go out on a site or whatever, to come back and be able to wash them and have a clean set ready to go if they get a secondary call. So that's really the long-term goal.
This is turnout gear, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't
know. I've never seen anybody wash it.
I haven't either. I don't think you can wash them like that.
But also, if it gets wet, it's useless at a fire scene. So if they're at a scene and theirs gets wet, they really need to be able to have a dry set to put on. That was one of the points that Mike Whittam had made.
Well, isn't that so my understanding of, or at least, my understanding of the fire equipment is that it's lined.
It's water repellent.
Yeah. There's an outer garment that's Nomex or some type of level of fireproofing. Frank probably can, or Bill could probably speak to it. But then there's a liner in there that's got like a rubber backing to it, so that the water doesn't get in through the clothes, because they could be exposed to chemicals and other things inside the fire. And then that's got like some kind of liner on it for warmth. Now, I can certainly understand when they go out in the middle of the summer and sweat their tails off at a fire scene. I get that. Then you smell like a wet dog for the rest of the day. But I've never seen anybody wash, like take fire gear and put it in a washing machine and dry it between calls. I've never seen that. Now I could be wrong, right?
No, I've never seen it either.
Yeah, I think it was something that came up as a recommendation. I don't know what other departments are doing, I guess, in that regard. I mean, I know that he'd mentioned, with all the carcinogens and things of that nature, is a big thing. And I think it's a recommendation to clean them more frequently than has been in the past. So again, that was his request, so we can certainly have more, follow-ups on that. We're not funding 2 sets today, right? So I think it's a moot point, for now. But certainly something we can address with them and get a better understanding on, before we go down the road of actually looking to fund them, the 2 sets. But all we're really asking, or all we recommended for now, is to, buy 1 full set, essentially for all of the full-time employees, and then again 2 are being covered through the earmark there. So outside of the funding here. So.
Yeah, we need to have the sets for the gear that's beginning to expire is the big issue, the biggest issue of all. Because
exactly
on the wear dates on some of that equipment.
No, and some of it is expired, right? Which is the bigger problem. So, we're past due here. I'm getting this rectified. So it's something we wanted to prioritize for this year to, start getting them the equipment that they need. So.
Cody had sent over another spreadsheet, Todd.
Yeah, so that was the full. So I want to so this is our recommendations. What the other sheet was, and let me just pull it up here.
Yeah, because I have some discussion on that before I could vote on something like this.
Yep. No, understood.
Cody, Bill has a question. He has his hand up.
Go ahead, Bill.
On the road maintenance, what do we get for Chapter 90 money yearly?
I can't tell you exactly the amount. I'm trying to remember if it was what it was, but I can get that information for you. While you guys are doing that, let me see if I can get into my system and get that information for you.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. All right, so what I pulled up here was the other sheet. So this is what we received as a initial, summary from all of the department heads, right? So this is the 5-year outlook. So hopefully you've all, I'm not going to go through this line by line. It's kind of a lot here, but hopefully you've had a chance to kind of look at this. There are some significant costs upcoming, one of which is like an ambulance over time. There's also, going to be a need for a fire engine down the road at some point. There's the water department's going to have some significant needs. Fire engine replacements here, 850 as an estimate. So some of these are some very big ticket items, which is, you may recall I've mentioned this in the past that, we need to start taking haircuts off of our free cash, ideally, to be able to build up a reserve fund that can help fund some of these big ticket items over time. But we're really handcuffed this year by the shortage in free cash, right? If we had the $1 million like we've had in past years, then we could, move forward with our plan as is now and, maybe put 200,000 aside or something to that effect. But, really just unfortunately have no capacity to do that this year. But something, again, that we need to make a priority for future years. Hopefully we can get on track with that starting next year. But I know, Frank, you had some questions, I guess. So do you want to?
Yeah, it's actually on the sheet that says recommended CIP for funding preferred sheet. Yeah, that's one right here.
Yeah.
Regarding some ARPA money here, $84,000 ARPA money going for a wood chipper.
Yeah, so there's just under like $200,000 of it left from the opera funding. So it was Cody's recommendation was to this is the financial management system implementation. So to implement that at the 75, and then to leverage 84,000 of those funds to replace the wood chipper there that has come through as capital request that we tabled last year, and then again this year with the short funds, it's not something that's feasible.
Yeah, I just don't agree with putting ARPA funds for a wood chipper when we could take that money and maybe move it over 60,000 of that into a police vehicle, and take that 60,000 in free cash out of there and move it into our other fund to have that money, and then the 24,000, we could also apply some of that to the structural gear and move that extra 24,000 over as well, So we're talking 64,000.
So you're saying to fund one of the police vehicles out of the opera funds? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes. Well, take it out of the wood chipper, 60,000. And then the 24,000 remaining, move that up into the structural gear. And then the 24 and 60 out of free cash for the police and fire, move that over into our capital funding that we're trying to build up. I just can't get my head wrapped around giving $84,000 ARPA funding to a wood chipper.
It wasn't, Frank, the wood chipper last year wasn't $84,000, was it?
No, but cost of everything goes up, and
that's pretty dramatic though, because that's like $40,000 more for the same device.
I think it was like 20,000, wasn't it? It was like 64,000 for the wood chipper last year.
Yeah, I think it was 64, Mike.
It was 60 something. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, it was 60 something. Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, how much are we really using a wood chipper in the town? We just bought that machine, that excavator machine, and the brush hog for it to deal with a lot of the brush issues, and which alleviates having to use the wood chipper for. And for using the wood chipper mostly on one Saturday a month down at the town barn to chip brush that people bring down for 84,000, I've got a real issue with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, as tight as things are right now, I just can't see I personally can't see spending $84,000 on another wood chipper.
Yeah, so I'm new, obviously this year. So they purchased one last year as well.
No,
they did, and they wanted to.
Okay.
It came up as a capital request, and we didn't approve it, or we didn't recommend it. So,
are there known issues that they've been spending for repairs on the existing one that we're aware
it's an older one, I think, and I think the one they want has like a wider
got a bigger drum in it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Can take
And
bigger
so-
logs, things like that.
Exactly. And so, it's handy when there's storms and stuff, and they also, like, as part of the service, they go around, to the town and collect the debris that folks leave out on the sides of the roads and things of that nature. So it is considered a valuable resource to the town overall. But, whether or not we approve through opera funds, that's a whole separate discussion itself. Yeah. So when we go through the recommendation, because we'll need to either, vote to recommend or to not recommend the capital planning committee's recommendations. And so the opera stuff is somewhat separate. So we can always, caveat that and say we don't approve that's piece of it. So, or do approve. So we can take a vote separately for that as well.
Yeah, but like I say, I'm looking at freeing up 64,000 of our free cash, out of the 594,400. And moving that into our account.
Yeah. Sandy, I see your hand up, I guess, but I also wanted to ask you a question, I guess. Is there any limitations, I guess, or of us using the opera funds to purchase a police vehicle directly, I guess, or?
That I'm not sure of. Basically, the ARPA funds are approved by the selectmen. So you could recommend, but it's their discretion.
Yeah, right.
On the ARPA funds. I just wanted to give you the number for the Chapter 90. The last few years, we've gotten $267,685 from Chapter 90. We got a little extra this year. The state put out a second payment of about $135, but it's not a lot of money because everything costs so much I think he was saying, what was it, like $385,000 to pave a mile, or it might even be more. So.
But we're looking at about 500,000 for road maintenance paving. If we depend on how much extra funding we get in Chapter 90.
Yeah.
Right, and the extra isn't guaranteed every year.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
We definitely need to have money for road paving. There's no doubt about it. But like I say, I'm just really concerned with 84,000 in there for a wood chipper, that I really feel that we can do something different with it. As tight as we're trying to keep things, and as tight as the money is, we just really need to knuckle down on it. And I know we've got to spend this ARPA money this year, this coming year. So I understand that, but it's just a sour taste spending it on a wood chipper.
Yeah. So we can bring it up in our joint session with the selectmen on Wednesday and see what the rationale was for it, and just have some further discussion around it, I guess, as well as part of that meeting.
Thank you, Todd.
So definitely a question to table, I guess, Frank, and for Wednesday, but definitely something we can spend some time talking through.
Yeah, if we can understand that insurance regarding the mold remediation at the firehouse as well. That's $100K right there.
Yeah, so we can ask them about that, I guess. So what do we want to do? I guess, do we want to take a vote on the capital plan, or we want to defer this, I guess, to Wednesday?
I would defer it to Wednesday based on the question.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do it all on the same night.
Let's do it all together,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So any other questions or anything on the summary? As of now, no. Okay.
But it's good to see the 5-10 there plan, to see the numbers.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is good, but it's also concerning at the same time, right? Just because we have some big challenges coming up. So
sure, but we need to know to know that now and not later.
Exactly. We need to start planning for. Yeah, exactly. Totally agree with you there. It's just a bit of a bummer, I guess, for this year because we can't, our hands are pretty much tied, right? Trying to like really address anything. Ideally, what we want to do, or what I've been pushing for on an annual basis, is to take a haircut off of our free cash and put that into the stabilization fund. And so we've done that the last couple of years. That's a good thing to do, right? To keep building that up. And then adding this secondary, or standing up a secondary account or capital account that can, start being invested to just to carry these forward, I guess, would, is ideal. But again, we have some big challenges this year. Hopefully we'll be in a better state next year and can get back on track with our stabilization haircut and then start moving some money in. Because once we get to like fiscal 27 and stuff, we have some of these bigger ticket items kind of popping up, and the ambulance is going to certainly be due by then as well. And, we'll never have the amount of free cash in a given year to cover some of these big ticket items. So unless we start saving, now, or should have been saving in the past, even years ago, to fund some of these, is the only way we're going to fund this stuff. So.
No, but like I say, it's nice to see this spreadsheet, Tommy. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Yeah. So this will be part of the annual process going forward. So some of these numbers will shift or whatever, but each year, we'll get it published out to the drive, so everybody has access to it. All right, so that was the review and the vote on the capital planning committee recommendations. So we'll defer that to Wednesday for the further discussions. Next up was the finance committee review and vote on the town articles. So I just have a draft here. So it's again, it's very much a draft. So just keep that in mind, I guess, when we're looking at this, because still very much in flux given the situation we are in with the school budget and everything. But there's a number of items in here that we want to just kind of review and we can vote on to start moving forward with some of this stuff, because we're way behind this year given the situation. So just trying to...
Just real quick while you're doing that.
Yeah.
Chief, didn't we buy the pickup truck with ARPA funding?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so we can buy a police vehicle with ARPA.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you did them in Holbrook as well, Bill?
The truck was bought with CARES money.
Oh, with CARES.
Not ARPA.
Not ARPA.
Right.
In Norfolk County, they wouldn't allow us to do that.
Yeah, Sandy's correct. Yeah, it was the COVID stuff, but it was CARES. It was from CARES, not from ARPA.
And the ARPA does have different rules than the CARES. I'm not sure that we can't do it, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. It's definitely a good question, Frank. We can, we can bring it up on Wednesday.
Yeah, I would think there's no rules in there stating buying a wood chipper, but I may be wrong. over a police cruiser or something, This isn't Fargo.
Yeah. All right, can everybody see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, great. So, so this is the rough draft of the warrant. So, everything in red is going to be changed, right? So this is the budget stuff, but it's just from past year. So all of this is going to be refreshed. But we want to just go through some of these articles and just make our votes now to some of them where we can. So the first article here is just to hear and act on the reports of the town officers and committees. So it'll basically be so the warrant's going to be, needs to be printed next week, right? So we're like really, really up against the gun here, which is why we want to make some progress on voting these now, which would take a few items off of the table for Wednesday's meeting, which I expect to be pretty long. So the first one is just to hear and act on the reports of the town officers and committees, which is going to be the review of the articles and the budget itself once we have the finalized numbers that we agree to and get dropped in here. So So I guess what we want to do is just, vote to recommend these or not to recommend. So I guess would somebody like to make a motion on Article 1 to recommend?
So moved.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Cheryl. Roll call vote. Frank?
Article 1, yes.
Jim?
Article 1, yes.
Bill?
Yes.
EJ?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Motion carries 7-0 to recommend Article number 1. So Article number 2 is, so this is the changes as made from the, that we voted in as part of the wage and personnel meeting. So these are the changes to the salaries here. So would somebody like to make a motion to recommend Article number 2?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Bill. Roll call vote. Frank?
Is this for the entire wage and personnel?
It's the 105,000.
No. So I believe he doesn't have the details in here, but you guys, when you met, you voted the 2% COLA, you voted a couple of the other, I'm trying to remember, the extra personal day,
We did?
It was sorry,
Yeah.
I kind of mixed these two together. And so the COLA that Cindy's referring to, that's part of the Article 3 as well. Article 2 itself is just, remember we went through and we approved the bylaw changes as part of that session. So that's what needs to be updated here. So to Cindy's point, it's not actually dropped in here, but we did.
if you want to wait on 2 and maybe on Wednesday, he can bring the details, the exact things that were changed at that meeting.
Yeah, because we bounced a lot of things around in there.
Yeah.
All right.
So we can defer that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll wait on Article 2 till you have the more details on it.
Yep.
Article 3, though, that's the, and this is your article, it's for the elected officials.
Yeah.
And that
So
is
this
the 2% COLA for them.
Yeah, the 2% COLA is here. So so would somebody like to make a motion to recommend Article number 3?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Michael. Thank you, Bill. Roll call vote. Frank?
Yes on Article 3, please.
Jim?
That's a 2% COLA for the town clerk, 57 to 76, $20,000.
Yeah, and the step
So
increase.
she actually went to 70 for 24.
It's the step and the COLA, yeah. It's not
Right.
just COLA,
She
it's
went-
step.
she
Okay,
increased
okay,
the whole
okay,
Hours
okay.
were increased. That number is incorrect on that. That's why it's still in red.
All
That
right,
number was never moved over.
got it. Okay, then yes on Article 3.
Thank you, Jim. Bill?
Yes.
EJ?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yeah.
Michael?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Article 3 carries 7-0. Let's see.
We're gonna hold
So
that.
Article 4 is going to be a hold, yeah, because it's the operating budget, which we still need to work through and agree on before we can vote it here. Article 5.
This is the revolving accounts that we have to vote the amount every year,
Yeah.
the spending limit.
Yeah, we went through.
And this is unchanged from last year, right, Sandy?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah. All right. So would somebody like to make a motion to recommend Article number 5?
So moved.
So
Cheryl?
before we
Go ahead,
go
EJ.
and vote on this one here, so can this potentially change at all with all of the other budget stuff that we're working on, or is the spending limit kind of set in stone and we can't?
No, it's set in stone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah, I was just going to explain, Ed, these revolving accounts there for for planning to have a review engineer look at a site. The money comes in from the applicant and then we spend it.
Got it.
And then they put spending limits on it. I'm not even sure why, but the state requires spending limits. But it really just depends on how busy. Most of these limits are way above what we go through in a year anyways.
Awesome. Thanks, Cindy.
Okay.
No, good question, EJ. Any other questions on Article 5? Okay, all right, we have a motion from Cheryl to recommend. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Roll call vote, Frank?
Yes, on Article 5.
Jim?
Yes on Article 5.
Bill?
Yes.
EJ?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, so let's see, Article 6. So this is the annual transfers, right, Sandy, for the?
This is the reserve fund.
Yeah.
So we put 75,000 in from the general and 50,000 in for water. And we do it every year. We seem to be able to still stay within those numbers. And it's for unforeseen and extraordinary events or issues.
Mhm.
So.
Any questions on this one from anyone?
No.
Hearing none, I guess, would somebody like to make a motion then to recommend Article 6?
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you, Michael. Thank you, Cheryl. Roll call vote, Frank?
Yes on Article 6.
Jim?
Yes, Article 6.
Bill?
Yes.
EJ?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Motion carries 7-0. So next up is Article 7. This one is the pilot, so payment in lieu of taxes that we discussed. So again, I think the contract is still under negotiation and
Right.
more to be discussed here. So I think we'll save this one for Wednesday as well. We can ask Cody what the update is there and the additional questions that you raised earlier, Frank, as well. All right, so that was Article 7. There's a deferment. Number 8 is our capital plan. So again, we'll defer this one to Wednesday as well. I'll send a summary of the questions to Cody as well post this meeting, so that way he has them and can be prepared to respond to the direct questions. So number 9 is going to be the Community Preservation Act. I
He
think this is
suggested
another one.
you hold this one as well.
Yeah, we'll defer this one to Wednesday as well, so we can have some discussion on this item. Let's see. All right, so Article number 10. Oh, so this is the annual. Well, the next two, 10 and 11 are the same.
And 12.
Not the same, but annual.
Yeah.
And 12, yeah. So these are just annual amounts. So 3,500 to support the South Coastal Legal Services. Which are free, supports free legal services in civilian matters to elders, long-term families, etc. And then very similarly, same dollar amount to the South Shore Resource and Advocacy Center for Domestic Violence, and then 150 for the use of the trustees.
It's
Actually, which one is this one, Cindy?
It's Plymouth County Cooperative Extension Services. The thing I know most about that is the 4-H Club, but it's Plymouth County Extension Services.
Okay.
Sandy, Sandy, on Articles 10 and 11, do people actually utilize those funds?
Yes, they do.
They do. So they are being
we actually, this is like we sign a contract that allows them to, it allows residents from Halifax to use these services.
And they do get used.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that former police chief used to really advocate for the domestic violence one. I guess a lot of times they use it through the police.
And I guess on that note, Sandy, have these funds been depleted in past years? I think we've kept it as at 3,500 for the last several years, at least as long as I've been.
Right. No, we haven't been asked to do more, so.
Okay. All right. So we still feel 3,500 is more than
Yep.
adequate. Okay. Any other questions on 10, 11, 12 from anyone? No? Okay, hearing none, I guess then would somebody like to make a motion to recommend Articles 10, 11, and 12?
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Bill. Roll call vote, Frank?
Yes, on Articles 10, 11, and 12.
Jim?
Yes on 10, 11, and 12.
Bill?
Yes, on all three.
EJ?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
I am a yes as well. Motion carries 7-0. All right, so let's see. So then number 13 is next. Can you refresh me on this one, Sandy? What's the background on this one? The $15?
So currently, the collector charges a $5 demand on late payments. So if you don't pay your excise bill or your trash bill or your water bill, they put out a demand and charge $5 for that. Well, other towns charge like $15, $20, $25. So when we were asked to look at your fees and update them, the treasurer collector felt that we should up it to $15, the demand fee. So if you don't pay your bill on time, we charge you the $15 and then interest.
Well, it's a one-time fee of 15 plus
It's a one-time fee, right?
plus interest on the bill
Yep.
itself.
Yep.
Yeah, on the principal of the bill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Sandy, where would 15 put us into? I know some others charge 20, 25.
I think we're the lowest around right now, EJ.
Yeah.
Most of the towns charge at least 15.
Yeah.
So we're getting up to just going up to about what most of the towns charge. But we did have a neighboring town that charges 25.
Yeah. I was going to say, why are we stopping at 15 if it's coming
Yeah,
into
we don't. It might be a little culture shock. If we were right up to 25, we felt 15 to be reasonable.
But we can go up to 40 according to the section, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm relaying information that I was in a discussion with, but yeah.
I think it should be more, or a percent of their bill. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jim. That's why I asked.
Yeah. Well, if we do the 15, we are still charging them interest, and it's pretty high interest rate too. So.
And so, Sandy, this one would go into effect as of July 1st, 20.
Yes.
2024.
2024.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions, comments on Article 13? Hearing none, would somebody like to make a motion then to recommend Article number 13?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Michael. Roll call vote. Frank?
Yes, on Article 13.
Jim?
Yes on Article 13.
Bill?
Yes, on Article 13. Yes.
EJ?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Motion carries 7-0. All right, so Article 14. So Article 14 is the so it relates to the school, which is, as you know, kind of still up in the air. But this one I think we can vote on. This was for the request from them to appropriate
Is this?
well, actually, he has this. So there's two pieces, right? So Sandy, this itself is just a part-time, but they had a recommendation for the full-time, which is
for
78.
the part-time SRO at the middle school.
Yeah.
Is this a DARE officer? Like a DARE officer?
It's not a DARE officer. No, it's
a school resource officer.
Right.
Yeah.
School resource officer.
Is that just the town share, or all three towns are paying?
That is our
Our
times share. So,
Is that a percentage? So what percentage of the whole is that?
all right. So Kingston funds a full-time SRO for the high school.
Okay.
They do that out of the goodness of their hearts. Silver Lake has asked Plimpton and Halifax to fund a part-time officer at the middle school. The 39 is 2/3 of the cost of the part-time officer. Plimpton is being billed 1/3.
So a part-time officer is going to cost over $90,000 a year?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Part-time guy?
No.
Even
39 is 2/3. So then about 19 is coming from Plimpton.
60,000.
About, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just under
So
Well,
if you-
60, 15, 40, yeah, 60.
Even close.
60.
Yeah.
Weigh in here, Bill.
even if it's part-time, you're paying $60 an hour.
Yeah.
It'd be like 40. That's a lot of money. That's
Yeah, that's
way,
expensive.
way.
They asked
So-
for, they asked us to consider full-time. The full-time would have been 78,000 for us.
Whoa.
Cody chose not to even put that one in the warrant because
Yeah.
it's too much. We fund this out of raise and appropriate because it seriously is a budget item that they want to come out of our budget every year. So we have been funding it out of raise and appropriate. It is a lot of money.
For a part-time guy.
My understanding, and if Chief Shavs is still on, my understanding is we're paying an overtime rate for this officer. But
So he's working a regular shift and then going to the school.
something like that. Or
So
he's assigned to
Probably a
the
day
school.
off.
He's
So,
assigned
yeah,
to the school, but
Yeah, he's assigned to this. So this has been very controversial. Since they brought this up,
Yeah.
I have written letters to the Silver Lake school committee, indicating that I wasn't in favor of it. I value the SRO position. I think that the officer that's at the high school does a great job. And I couldn't and I asked for activity numbers and different things to show that why couldn't an officer that's assigned to the high school full time
Right.
walk over literally 100 yards and check in on the middle school. We have so I know that another school district, the old Rochester School District, they have the same kind of similar situation where the high school and the middle school are right next to each other, and they have one officer assigned, and let's say they'll I don't know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday they spend time at the high school. Tuesday, Thursday they spend time at the middle school. But obviously, again, it all depends on what the news cycle and things happen at schools, and then that goes to the forefront. Obviously, everybody has opinions on school safety, and I think it's paramount. But I think it's something to be looked at. But the problem that we have is that if Kingston and Plimpton okay it, we have to kind of fall in line with it because other district. So it's one of those things that will keep coming up every year.
Yeah.
But from what I understand it, so that officer, I think now, and I haven't gone to any of the I haven't gone to one of the safety meetings at the high school in a long time. I believe he is full time there, so they have a between what we pay and then what the Plimpton pays, they're financing the officer to be there. Pretty much every day, every day of the week, and obviously, they're as busy as any other SR would in any school. But it's one of those things, like when you actually ask for activity reports for the high school guy, what is he doing? What programs is he doing in there? Or he's just kind of walking around. We're not getting those reports, so
right.
it's difficult.
we have one guy for 1,200 students, so there's no reason he can't walk over to the other school.
Well, we only have 541, so
It's
altogether.
yeah.
Right. There's 1,500 people, 1,543 to be exact, at Silver Lake Regional High School.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so the request was the full-time officer, which was a 78, which Cody went back to them right away and told them we wouldn't be able to afford that. This Article 14 is what we currently do today, so it'd be continuing to that. If folks feel strongly to revisit it, we can have some discussion.
Todd, there's one more thing. Kingston's bringing on a new chief this week, so you don't know what he's going to want to do, if he's even going to want to go down this road.
Yeah.
He's just starting this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's getting sworn in next week, I believe.
Yeah. He's a deputy in Stoughton.
Correct.
Yep.
So the other thing I'm not sure of, Sandy, is like the voting of this, I guess. This isn't in the contract as a whole, I guess, right? Because Kingston has no skin in the game on this one. It's just really Halifax and Plimpton. So
on this, the first year it was proposed, Plimpton voted yes and Halifax voted no. So they just used the SRO for enough, to use up the Plimpton money. So he was
that's exactly where it was.
Time.
Yeah. Okay,
if
thank
we
you.
vote no on this, they just don't have the money to do as many hours.
Right.
And
so I think there is an opportunity. In this specific scenario, we're not held to the 2/3 vote, right? So if we disapprove of this, we would take that funding back, I guess.
And you could always not recommend it, and it goes to town meeting, and it could be voted anyways. I think that's the way it happened the second year. The second year, the finance committee did not recommend, and the townspeople voted for it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we would keep it on as an article, and so it's a matter of do we recommend or not, I guess.
Right.
So, I guess any other further questions or comments before we move to a vote here? Go ahead, Cheryl.
Does he work 40 hours a week at the school?
I do not know.
This role, it's a part-time.
Time, so. And we're actually, when we're billed as a detail. So maybe that's what I'm getting at. I think it's a detail rate is what we pay.
It sounds like it. Yeah, I think you're right, Sandy.
Well, they're not even giving our police chief like data on what he's doing.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, which goes back to the earlier discussion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
why we never recommended it before.
Right.
So,
So you guys can either vote on this tonight, or if you want to hold off and discuss it more on Wednesday, that's up to you.
Yeah, what's the consensus, I guess? Do we want to defer this or take a vote now, I guess?
Take a vote.
Yeah, I agree with Frank. Take a vote.
Yeah, because either way, we vote our recommendation.
Yep.
Yeah. Everybody comfortable making the vote?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to entertain a vote then to recommend Article number 4. Would
14,
somebody like to make a motion?
14, Todd.
14.
Sorry, what did I say?
4.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, 14. I apologize. Would somebody like to make a motion to recommend Article 14? Hearing none. Would somebody like to make a motion to not recommend Article 14?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Frank. Thank Cheryl. I get you as a second. I know those others too, but roll call vote, I guess. Jim?
Not vote to not recommend Article 14.
Bill?
Not recommend, yes.
Michael?
Not recommend, yes.
DJ?
Not recommend.
Cheryl?
Not recommend.
Frank?
Not recommend Article 14.
And I am a no as well to not recommend. So that passes 7-0 for not recommendation.
Okay.
All right, so number 15 then, article number 15, moving onward is,
No.
so this is related, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Cody has asked you to hold off on this one. We don't have a firm figure. This is the system that we funded last year for $100,100 for
Yep.
an HVAC through the money that we have in the stabilization account that was put aside for Silver Lake. We have heard that it's going to cost more than what they had thought, but we do not have a firm figure on how much more. So Cody is hoping to get that, if not tonight, tomorrow.
So Sandy, we approved the dollars for last fiscal year, and they've done nothing with it.
No.
No.
So why should we?
Why do we?
Well, the system, by the time that, from my understanding, is by the time that they went out to bid and got the prices, it came in higher than they had approval for. So they had been, the other two towns actually voted some of their ARPA money. So it wasn't as easy as saying, you know, we need this much more. They have to go back and get ARPA money for it again. And they went through the county to get the ARPA money. So, but we don't have a definite figure on the amount. So that's my understanding on this one right now.
I thought they had 2 units going in last year, and
Right.
we approved the partial one, which was a lower priced unit or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. They were originally going to ask for 200,000 something. We were going to fund it with the rest of the money that was put aside for Silver Lake. And then they asked for only half of it. So, but now they do need more. I'm not sure how much more.
Yeah, and they did nothing with the money we funded with last year.
Yep.
They didn't get it.
Nope, that's still sitting in our bank.
Yeah, right. Okay. I don't know. I'd vote on it now.
I ask that you hold off. Let's see what we find out as far as a definite number.
Yeah.
Irresponsible.
Okay, yeah, we'll defer this to Wednesday, I guess, as well. But yeah, just another item where we're lacking, I think, some clarity on from the school on some items here. Okay, all right. Hopefully, we can get that cleared up on Wednesday. So that was it for the draft warrant. So I'll go back to Cody on.
Didn't we have, what was 16?
I think that's to hold the election.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
It is. It's just yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for that. So next up on the agenda then was reserve fund transfer requests.
We have none.
Yeah. Cool. We're good there. Committee liaison updates. I don't know. Was there anything for anyone to share?
We have our bylaw tomorrow night.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Tuesday night. Yeah.
Busy week for you guys, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that was the liaison updates. So correspondence, I haven't seen any. Has anyone else received anything? No. Okay. As may arise, any other topics to cover? No. Next up is public participation. Anything from anyone? No. Okay, all right, so then moving along is the next meeting planning. So again, the next meeting is Wednesday, April 3rd, on site at the town hall. The time has shifted around a few times, so hopefully you've seen my latest email. It's now settled on 6:30. And so the idea 6:30 p.m. Yep. So the idea there being that we kick off as a joint meeting with the selectmen at 6:30, have some discussion, maybe talk about some of these topics in advance of the school committee coming on at 7 p.m. and then going through their budget, and all the questions that kind of come along with that. And then from there, making our final recommendations on the budget. So there will probably be a relatively long meeting, I envision, because there's a lot kind of for us all to get through. Usually we do that over several nights, and we have to kind of like cram it all in, starting at 8 p.m. plus, or whenever the school committee completes their presentation, I guess. So we'll have to kind of work through that on Wednesday. But then that will be it, right? So from there, we'll the warrant will get printed and go out, and then our meeting, May 13th. So that's really the plan there. We'll keep our scheduled meetings in between, just in case anything comes up from a reserve fund transfer, things of that nature. So we might be able to scale them back as we get closer to the dates, but we'll keep the regular schedule as is for now anyways.
So next Monday night or no?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. For now, we'll plan to, unless something changes between now and then, we'll certainly let you know. But as of now, yeah, I would say let's continue to plan on meeting on Monday. So.
Okay.
All right. And so, anyone have any challenges with getting on site this Wednesday at 6:30? Everyone good with that?
On site, right?
Yeah.
On site. Yep.
Good.
Okay. Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. So that brings us to the end of the agenda. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Bill. Roll call vote. Frank?
Yes, to adjourn.
Jim?
Yes, for adjournment.
Cheryl?
Yes.
EJ?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Motion carries 7-0. Meeting is adjourned at 7:33 p.m. Thank you,
Good
everyone.
night.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night.